Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to give a review of Sweat and Soap by Kintetsu Yamada. This is a Kodansha release that finished actually quite a while ago, and I finished it quite a while ago, and for some reason just never filmed a video about it, so here I am now. This series I started collecting, I believe, when the first two volumes were out, and I've been collecting it kind of ever since. This one had a lot of attention around when it first started coming out, and still kind of kept a lot of that, attention throughout its release because of the um, kind of bizarre sort of premise of it, which is that our main character, she's quite self-conscious about her body odor. She sweats a lot, and she works in the accounting department of a soap company, and she meets a colleague who's in the product development department of the company. He develops a lot of the soaps that she really, really loves. And he smells her and is like, oh my gosh, you smell amazing. I love your scent. It's really inspiring, and I just really love it. He's obsessed with it. And so they kind of start hanging out, but very, very, very quickly progresses into a relationship. They're both adults. They're in their mid 20s, and it's a really nice relationship that kind of grows from this bit of a strange start. Um, so that kind of put a lot of people off of this series because they're like, oh, it's like a weird smelling fetish and whatever. And like, sure, but that's not really what the whole story is about. And also, like when you're attracted to somebody, a lot of the times their smell is very alluring. So this just kind of takes it up a notch. And yes, he does smell her a lot. And yes, there is like a bit of suspending your disbelief, with like he can, based on how she smells, he knows how she's feeling. Yeah, sure, it's a bit weird, but for the most part, this is one of the best portrayals of an adult healthy relationship that I've ever seen in fiction. Not even just manga, but fiction in general. If you like workplace romances, if you like just generally really, really good love stories, this is an excellent one about these two people who are reasonably different in disposition. He's quite popular. He's a very, like, not necessarily outgoing, but he's very personable, and she's very shy and self-conscious about her appearance and her smell, and her just general disposition is very not confident. And she just kind of keeps to herself, and she doesn't seem to have ever really dated anybody. And then this guy comes along, and he's kind of like, she's really enamored with him pretty quickly. And he's clearly very interested in her. And we literally just watch their relationship grow from the moment they meet all the way until, it's not a spoiler because it's literally on the end of the final cover, when they get married. And we watch the people around them, like in their workplace, their families, and everybody kind of like getting to know them as a couple, and watching them grow and mature as people, as adults, after their relationship starts. Because living a single life alone in a tiny apartment is very different from, now I have somebody in my life I care about, and maybe I want to move in with them, and maybe I want to take that next step into adulthood, by proposing, getting married, potentially having children. Like those kinds of discussions are very, very explicitly had in this series in a very realistic way that isn't like over the top or done for comedic purposes or whatever. Like it's literally just like they're going through this relationship, and they have insecurities and struggles, and then they talk through things like adults should. um, but there is some misunderstandings, because there are times, especially if you're somebody who is very self-conscious like our main character is, where you second guess yourself, or you go, oh my gosh, am I actually making the right decision, or does this person actually like me as much as I like them, and what if this doesn't work out, and all of these insecurities that come up that are very difficult to voice. And like watching their relationship, their emotional relationship, but also their physical relationship develop, is really really beautiful. And all of the sexual themes in this series again feel very realistic. They're not overly explicit. There's definitely mature themes in here, but it's not like done for fan service or anything, and it's not overly explicit in any kind of way. It's literally just, yeah, they're a couple, they're going to have sex. And again, a lot of those discussions that come around like body insecurity and those sorts of things happen in this series, and it's really really great to see that kind of portrayal of a relationship that is very grounded. And it's nice to see. Of course, there are the tropes that you get of like, oh, there's another person that wants to kind of wiggle their way in, but it doesn't last long, because you like, this series is about this couple who very very clearly love each other. And anybody else who kind of tries to come into the mix, whether it's family members who are not as thrilled, um, or other people who might be attracted to one of the characters, like a rival of some sort, it's dealt with in a way that's not like, oh my gosh, that person's going to take this person away or wedge themselves in between. It's done in a way that's like, oh, how do we, again, as adults, navigate when, somebody might like you and you're just not interested in them. When you're already in a relationship, how do you just maturely make that clear to another person? And then how do you reassure your partner that this other person may be an important person in your life, but they're not going to come between us, because our relationship is valuable to me and part of my life, and a really important part of my life. It's just really beautiful. I really, really love it. There's funny moments. I love her boss. He's so funny. Their colleagues are awesome. Their families are amazing. I love getting to meet their families, and that, nervousness and awkwardness of, meeting your partner's family for the first time. And we really get great, great scenes between all of our characters, with her family as well as his. And it's just really excellent. I think this is such an amazingly done series that if you like romance, you should be reading this. Like, there's no excuse to not read this. And at 11 volumes, it's really not horribly long. It felt like a very good pace all the way through, and it's just charming. It definitely like filled my stomach with butterflies. Like, it was just like, oh, these two are so cute. Like, they're just so really good for each other, and it's so beautiful to see. And then, like I said, there are funny moments. There's a lot of like comedy in this as well. Um, but again, not like over the top. It just feels like day to day funny ridiculousness. And they get to go on dates and all that kind of stuff, and it's just so fun to witness. So I would say absolutely 100% recommend Sweat and Soap. This will be one that I will reread for sure. It's so much fun to read, and the art is pretty, like, it's kind of different. Like, I don't know, the character designs are just different. I like the art. I think it's really well done. But yeah, it's not something I've ever really, like, I didn't look at this and go, oh yeah, this looks kind of like this other artist. So it's very distinct. Like, if something else came out by Kintetsu Yamada, I'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize that art. In the same way that, like, what is it? Hiromu Arakawa. I've never read Full Metal Alchemist, but when I saw Silver Spoon, I went, oh, that's Hiromu Arakawa. Like, this is a very distinct, unique art that isn't way out there. It's just kind of perfect for what this series is. So anyway, if you've read this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've had like reservations about it, I'd like to hear that as well. But honestly, this is an amazing series, and I really, really think that you should give it a chance if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.